S Word, featuring Will Gavin and Master Tess Fassian. And a squad of big-name contributors. The S Word from talkSPORT.
Hello and welcome to the S Word from talkSPORT. I'm Will Gavin, live in London, and joining me from a hotel room in Seattle where it's 5 a.m. right now, ahead of the USMNT second game of the World Cup, the brilliant Master Tess Fassian. We're here with you for the next 2 hours from 8 till 10 a.m. Eastern, bringing you all the best. You look sensational, my friend. I like the 3 stars above the crest.
Come on, I'm missing a fourth. There should be a fourth.
Listen, you're not going to be gaining a first on the other kit this year, so it's nice for you to represent that. We might be getting a second over England. We'll get into that on the show today. We will preview the huge game between the US and Australia in that brilliant stadium up in Seattle. The former Blackburn, Liverpool, Spurs and USMNT goalkeeper Brad Friedel will be here. We'll go down under to speak to ESPN's Laurie Haresh as well. We'll talk about the Canucks' first ever World Cup win last night. We are going to head to New York, to Boston, to that general area in the northeast to speak to Shebahn Aherne ahead of Scotland's massive game with Morocco tonight. We'll talk about Brazil being under pressure. All of that to come on the S Word, sponsored by Kalshi. Let's get it. Come on. Master, I'm super excited about the show today. We're back together. You've been travelling. You look fantastic. I'm so glad you're joining us from such early hours in the morning. And you've been on full planes, trains and automobile to get across that country from New York to Seattle to be there with the Outlaws to support the USMNT. It's sensational work, buddy.
Yeah, I had to escape a Knicks parade in New York. They were taxing on flights while I was there in New York. Lovely time in New York, by the way, Will. The atmosphere is amazing in there. As I'm going through Penn Station, half the station is Scottish fans in their skirts, and I'm going around telling them no Scotland, no party. Just some amazing, amazing people. I wish the English could take a page or two from the Scottish fans. They're just wonderful people to talk to. And then the other half was Knicks fans soaking up the amazing atmosphere from the Knicks parade. I got out of town. I've seen one parade this summer. That's more than enough for me. But New York was fun, and I went to so many watch parties. Obviously, I was at France Senegal as well, at MetLife, which was an amazing atmosphere. Went to go see England Croatia at Carragher's, which was great. And then did a double dip that night and saw Colombia, Uzbekistan in Bushwick at a Colombian watch party, and I was out till 7 a.m. That was a great time, Will. That was a great time, Will. I'm not gonna lie to you. That was a wonderful time.
One of the days you weren't on the show, then I hope, because that's wild. Listen, let's just kick off. We will talk about last night's games, by the way, because Mexico, first team to get out of the group stage, 1-0 win last night over South Korea. I'm sure you were watching this while you were on the move yesterday. I was watching it at 2 a.m. here in the UK. Not a great game of football, but plenty of talking points from it as well. Plenty of other talking points from last night as well. But because we weren't on the show together yesterday, you come out here, you start taking swings at the England fans for not being as fun as the Scotland fans. You've been telling us to, with our chests, get out there and be proud of our team, be more rambunctious, be more excited about it, to be getting behind them, to be taking joy from the games. And now that we're taking joy from putting on a sensational second half performance against the hardest team that any seed had to face in this first round of the World Cup, and suddenly we're obnoxious. Suddenly we're bad people. We're doing what you want, Master. We're getting behind the team. We're getting excited about it. We're getting some of that USMNT energy from beating Paraguay. That's what we're doing.
Absolutely disgusting.
I did not say that you guys were arrogant. I love it. It was great to see. I'm watching the show and I'm seeing Flex starting to take some cues from myself and having more confidence and believing in Noni Madueke, who delivered and got a penalty for you guys off the bat. I'm seeing you starting to believe in England as well and being confident and backing your boys regardless of who they are. And I'm glad I'm rubbing off on the show, and I'm glad I'm rubbing off on English fans in a positive way. That's the beauty of the World Cup, exchanging perspectives. And again, great performance. Thomas Tuchel, second half, made some great adjustments. I thought Jude Bellingham was excellent. But, Will, must I remind you, when me, you, and Angelina picked through every single group stage, who was the only person to say that England would win all 3 matches in the group stage? Oh, that's right. That was me. Who else was the one that said, oh, you guys should back and get behind Noni Madueke because I feel like he's going to do some good things? That was me again. Who also, when the roster came out and all the complaints about who Thomas Tuchel picked, who was the one that said, I like what Thomas Tuchel's doing, get back, support this coach because he knows exactly tactically what he's doing. He's pragmatic, and he gives England something that they actually deserve.
Who's also the one that thinks USMNT are going to go further than England? Who's also that mad?
Me, and I still stand behind it. I believe it. And you know why? That shaky back line. I mentioned that shaky back line.
Now you've seen them put on the best half of football we've seen from any football team in this whole tournament so far.
Give me a break. You're ignoring that first half, USA Paraguay. We didn't concede a goal in the first half. How about that one?
We didn't concede a goal in the second half. What are you talking about?
Okay.
I said the best half of football we've seen from any team this year in the World Cup is that second half from England. The number of chances created. If it wasn't for their goalkeeper and a man on the match performance, that would have been 6-2, 7-2. They were sensational in that second half, and there is no way that the USMNT are getting further in this tournament than England. That was the best I've seen us play, not from just a pure performance perspective, but from the fact that the adjustments were made, the fact that they believe in Thomas Tuchel, the fact that in the first half they didn't play up to their standards, and he didn't have to go in and make big changes. He just went in and man-managed. He just went and had the conversation with them, and they came out like their hair was on fire. They were fantastic. I don't fear any team in this World Cup right now.
They look great, you know. Shout out to Thomas Tuchel. He looked fantastic. Shout out to Jude Bellingham. He looked wonderful. All the Arsenal players. All of a sudden now, Will, you love you some free kicks, don't you? You love you some corner kicks, don't you?
I always love set pieces.
You love some set pieces. You love false nines that can drop back, don't you?
I also love when you can have a team where Nico O'Reilly makes the decision to put a foot on the ball, put a crossfield pass out instead of punting it out when he's under massive pressure. That leads to a counter-attacking goal where 4 players all know their jobs, drop deep, suck the players out of position. Bellingham makes that run. That's brilliant, beautiful tactical football. I love that as well. I love open play goals as much as I love set piece goals. They're all goals to me, buddy, and we are winning in every single way right now. We are playing beautifully in every single way. And right now, England are... Well, no, hold on. No, I'm going to keep my powder dry. We're going to do my power rankings later in this show. Yeah. We're going to talk about where every team is. I've done my top 10. Well, I do, not every team, 10 of the 48. But I've done my top 10. We'll get into it. I just, I'm waiting for you
Where's Curacao? Where's Curacao in your power?
Here's one for you. Here's one for you. I think 47th, 46th, somewhere in around there. Let's up the ante a little bit. Let's just take a previous conversation we had and just ramp it up just a tiny bit. We talked about if England play the USA in a game, right? And now I will hold my hands up. Your performance was excellent. I think you probably go on to top this group. You should beat Australia tonight. So the likelihood that England and USA are going to end up in the same side of the draw and play until much later stages is pretty slim, let's be honest. So let's just change the bet up. Let's just say that if England go further than the USA, you have to sit in this chair and eat some beans on toast.
I do not want beans and toast.
I trust what I said before.
Just ask
what do I get? What do I get?
I'll eat some grits.
Because I feel like
awful grits.
I feel like the odds are stacked against me. I feel like I deserve something more than that.
Okay, name it. Have a think on it. You have a little think on it. You come back to me. You name it, and you tell me what you want me to do if the USMNT go further than England.
I'm gonna meet up with the American Outlaws later today. And I'll see what we can come up with.
I will sing those
your favorite supporters group. Your favorite supporters group.
I believe that we will win. We will preview the USMNT. Huge game for them tonight against Australia. Cannot wait for that. Let's just talk a little bit. Oh no! Before we talk about the action last night, just a little bit on England as we talk about their positivity and we talk about where they are. I just wanted to show this video because they head back to KC. They're feeling themselves. They've had a great victory, and then we get Thomas Tuchel turning up at a Royals game, throwing out a first pitch. Absolutely sensational. Let's see the great man throwing out the first pitch at the Royals last night. A man who I truly have embraced as one of our own.
Captain Harry Kane and members of the English national team. With tonight's ceremony, first pitch, please welcome Team England head coach Thomas Tuchel. Catching for Coach Tuchel is Royals manager Andi Petrillo. Whenever you're ready, fire away.
Come on, Master. As a huge fan of the sport, as a man who grew up in America, pretty decent technique from Thomas Tuchel.
Well done, Thomas Tuchel. Right down the middle, strike zone, hit it perfectly. I saw Harry Kane was there, and they maybe explained the rules to him about first pitches. You know, you can't retake first pitches. So that's probably why he didn't go out there and give it a stab himself.
Well, you say that as well because
might have missed the strike zone.
Because Eberichieze was out there as well, of course, and he wasn't going to step up after what happened in the Champions League final. So, swings and roundabouts, buddy. Swings and roundabouts.
He might have hesitated.
Harry Kane still
He
scored.
might have stuttered a little bit.
He still scored 2.
Yeah.
He's still going for the golden boot.
As they found out, you can't stutter step on the way up to a first pitch. So he opted against it as well. The pressure maybe was a bit too much. You know, I know English fans want to stray away from pressure, so at least the players are listening to you guys. And they didn't want to deal with the pressure.
Bring all the pressure on. Bring all the pressure
there
on.
we
Make
go.
us tournament favourites. Bring all the pressure on.
I like that. I like that. I love that. I love that.
Before we get into the rest of the action coming up today, let's talk a bit.
What, real quick. One more thing I want to say before we move on. Okay. I saw, was it Kasper Schmeichel who was trying to compare England to the Dallas Cowboys, I believe, on Fox Sports? Did you see that analogy?
What are you doing? What are you doing, Kasper?
Yeah. Look, he said the England is like the Cowboys. They won once and they haven't won it since. Kasper, all you have to do was look up at the rafters and you can see that the Cowboys have won it 5 times. 5 times Super Bowl champions, okay? If you want to make these analogies and make these comparisons, at least keep your facts straight. All right, the Cowboys are more like Brazil, okay? We've changed the game. We won it 5 times. Yes, we haven't won it in quite some time, but the moment we do, the entire world will be celebrating because we're the biggest fan base in the world. England's more like the Chicago Bears, Will, okay? A historic, at the beginning, the origins of football, won it once, some long time ago in black and white, and haven't won it since, but they're always the odds-on favorite because they have a huge supporter group and everyone always tries to back them, and it always ends up in disappointment.
I don't hate that analogy. And now in Thomas Tuchel, we've got Ben Johnson. Now in Thomas Tuchel, we've got the man who can actually turn us into relevance again. A man who can make us a contender. And we're not going to any divisional round nonsense. We're going all the way to the Super Bowl, baby. To be fair to Kasper Schmeichel, he was 8 years old the last time you won your last Super Bowl. So, you know.
How old was he? So then he makes him 7 when the Niners last won it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So who the USMNT, like the Jags, the Titans?
Ooh.
Newer
We
team
finished third once.
team on the scene. Like,
Yeah, we finished third when it first started.
The Titans have been to the Super Bowl actually, so it's going to have to be the Jags. Yeah.
Wow. You know what?
You want to make the comparison?
I don't think I
buddy?
can argue with that one. I can't even argue with that
And now
one.
in Christian Pulisic, you've got Trevor Lawrence. And now in Mauricio Pochettino, you've gone and got yourself a Liam Cohen. See, we're all positive. We're all talking about the future. The NFL, the analogies, they work. It's a beautiful thing. Let's talk about the action from last night. As I say, Canada 6-0 winners over Qatar, all but guaranteed now to go through with that victory, particularly with the goal difference they get from that. We've got a guest coming up with that a little bit later in the show, so we'll break that down a little bit further later on. Switzerland against Bosnia and Herzegovina, 4-1, all 5 goals coming in the last 15 minutes, and a red card in there as well. It was one of those that if you
Crazy fourth quarter.
Yeah, wild fourth quarter, right? And then Colombia-Uzbekistan. Colombia looked good this morning against a new nation. Fair play to Uzbekistan. First goal in World Cup history. Wonderful for them. You love to see these things. Can we talk Mexico-South Korea? And
Let's do it.
I want to be really clear on this, Master. I'm caveating what I'm going to say before I say it because I know it's going to annoy you because you're going to start accusing me of being too European and everything else. It gave me a slight concern that we're going to see a few games like this coming up because that game was 2 teams who won their opening match, who knew they only needed a draw, who were playing in difficult, hot conditions with a lot of pressure on them, and neither of them... It looked like a pre-season friendly. It looked like 2 teams who weren't wanting to take risks, who weren't wanting to push out, who were happy to take the draw, and it ends up being a goalkeeping mistake that actually turns it into a 3 points for Mexico and through to the next stages. I just have a little concern. We're going to see a few more of those over the coming week or so with teams who have already started to do the maths in their head, who've already gone, what do we need to get through? That's all that matters. Get through to the next stage. Just a little creep of concern coming in for me.
You could not wait till you found one dead day in the World Cup to just bash to go back and double down on the fact that you just do not like the expanded tournament format. Look, this was a clash in styles. South Korea, very high pressing. Mexico, they keep their form, they keep their shape. Defensively, that's really what they're known for. And you know, it was 2 nations that, you know, with that clash of style, really created a stalemate up until the one mistake that was made. But kudos to Mexico. They still found a way. I still think they need more creatively up top. Maybe Raul Jimenez maybe needs another partner up top. I'm not sure exactly what that looks like. And on the flip side, we talked about Son previously. Man, he's lost a step, man. I can't see a scenario where South Korea needs more from him, and they need more from that position. In a great clearance by Edison Alvarez, I believe it was Edison Alvarez, who plays in the midfield but played at center back with a red card suspension that Mexico had to deal with. So yeah, there was a lot of moving parts in this whole situation, but kudos to Mexico. They found a way. They got through 3 points. They've won their group, and now they get a great pathway of having to continue to play games in the knockout stage in Mexico. So job done for them. South Korea as well. They're still in a great spot to finish second in that group. So yeah, you're going to see some of these groups that wrap up. But, well, that's no different than any other tournament that the World Cup's ever had. I don't know why you were waiting for this first opportunity to see this match and think, oh, this tournament stinks now because Mexico and South Korea...
Didn't say that. It's been a wonderful first 8 days. We've had brilliant moments. We've had... Today is arguably the best day of the World Cup so far. We're going to see Brazil turn it on. We're going to see USMNT Australia with all the smack talk between those two teams. We're going to see Scotland against Morocco and see if they're actually being a bit looser could go and prove themselves against a really great nation. I think this is a really exciting evening of football coming up. I've loved the World Cup so far. It just that little creep of that little. You know what? I still say about the format, I would much rather that the top 2 teams from every group went through and there was a seeding situation where a bye got had for the top. I think it has to be 8 teams that do the best in the group stages. I would rather we lose half the teams at the end of the group stages, because it is 72 games. To lose 12 teams is 14 teams. Sorry, it's not 16 teams. I can't even do the maths now. It's not great that it's that many games to lose that few teams. I still feel that way, even if the World Cup's been great. Both things can be true. Both things can be true.
Just wait till the final match day, and you start calculating with your analytical brain out there, figuring out what the different odds have to go through to see coming, bro. Like you're going to be so sucked into match day 3, trying to figure out which nations have been eliminated because they didn't score enough goals. This is the dog days of the World Cup. It always happens right in the middle of the group stage. We start to see a couple of these matches, unfortunately, that aren't the most entertaining, but provide some interesting tactical matchups, and that happens. That happens in every World Cup. That happens in every tournament. That happens in every league. This just yesterday just happened to be that case in Group A and Group B. Unfortunately, that's what they provided. As we saw with the other matches, Canada did a great job beating up Qatar. Unfortunately, I don't know if you want to discuss the Mone injury. Excuse me.
I think we'll do that. We've got Andi Petrillo joining us later in the show, so we'll chat with Andy about that. Andy, excellent Canadian sportscaster. So yeah, I mean, a horrible moment though, and yeah, the red card that follows it. It felt like the referee wasn't going to give a red card initially. Like it felt like it was only after seeing the injury, realising how severe the situation was. And I don't know, maybe in an age of VAR, a referee feels more emboldened to be able to make that decision, knowing that somebody will tell him in his ear if actually you've made the wrong call there. A little bit of the protection of the player, because, that kind of thing happens and emotions become incredibly high and the game is already out of their hands. So, do you essentially just get them off the field? It was a horrible moment. And it was, Jesse Marsh spoke brilliantly about it afterwards. And for Canada to all but guarantee their way out of the group for the first time ever in their history with a 6-0 win at a World Cup. What a wonderful moment for them. And you saw it with the last 2 goals. It absolutely tempers. You're scoring a 6th in a World Cup. You should be absolutely wheeling around, and everyone was just a little bit muted. So, listen, we'll get Andy's thoughts on it. You feel free to weigh in as well. But it's a horrible moment, and a heart goes out to the man.
Yeah, heart goes out to him. I thought the way they honored him as well. The following goal was beautiful to see. The crowd Canada provided, the Vancouver atmosphere was unbelievable. So much better than the atmosphere we saw in the first match in Toronto. But hey, another host nation getting the job done. Now Canada has a chance to win their group. Canada has a chance to win their group. Canada can win their group. Mexico's already won their group. Can the USA follow suit today against the Socceroos, baby? Come on.
We will get into that coming up shortly when Brad Friedel joins us. I'll just one last thing on this, and we'll cover it more later in the show or next week or next time England play, whenever it might be. What I've seen from that Mexico team in the first 2 weeks, I was panicking about the idea of going to the Azteca in the round of 16 if and when we both top our groups. I'm feeling better about that now. And maybe it's the master.
What?
Maybe it's the positivity that you've injected into my veins. Maybe it's seeing how good England played in that first game. I'm less scared of going to Mexico than I was before. It's still still challenging. It's still tough. It's not easy, but I believe in Thomas Tuchel. I believe in this team. I think if England get them in the round of 16, they go to Mexico and win. I believe.
You believe you will win?
I believe that we will win. I believe that we will win. I believe that we will win. Shebahn Aherne coming up next, where there's no Shebahn, there's no party. We'll talk some Scotland ahead of their game with Morocco tonight.
Big name reaction from both sides of the pond. The S Word from talkSPORT. talkSPORT presents The S Word.
high energy exchanges, fiery fan reactions, and the biggest football debate.
The S Word
from talkSPORT. Welcome back to the S Word from talkSPORT. I'm Will Gavin, live here in London and from Seattle, where the USMNT, buoyed by their opening fixture victory, take on Australia in Seattle tonight. And Master Tesfazian is live from there. Joining the show, it's like 5:20 in the morning, so fair play to him. Get in the chat, get involved, because the S Word, sponsored by Calci, we are absolutely everywhere. We are live on SiriusXM-FC. You can tweet us at talkSPORT S Word. You can find me and Master on there as well. You can get involved on Instagram and ideally, get in the comments on the live chat. You can do it on the S Word channel, where you can go subscribe, like it, give us a, get in the comments, etc., to help more people find the show. Or you can find us on the talkSPORT YouTube channel as well. We will talk USMNT coming up. Brad Friedel will be on the show shortly, just after 9 a.m. Eastern, in fact. But first, let's talk about the action in Foxborough tonight as Scotland take on Morocco with a chance to qualify from a group stage for the first time in their history.
Obviously, we know the last two tournaments haven't gone the way that we wanted the tournament to go. We have another chance. It's great to be here, but we also want to do something special.
Getting off to a good start in the first game is hugely important against Haiti. And,
Playing for your country's that step above, and to do it at a World Cup is just a dream come true for all of us.
The waiting is over. Up to McGinn! Deflected in! It's Super John McGinn! It's Scotland's first goal at a World Cup for 28 years!
I've nearly bawled my eyes out.
Scotland have returned to the World Cup with a win!
I've never been to a World Cup. I've waited 62 years to be at a World Cup. I've been in football 44 years. This for me is everything.
Van Diaz has passed his man, chips it in. Oh, it's a fabulous goal. Well, Ismail Sabani was at the edge of the ball.
It's undoubtedly the best song that any team has associated with there in recent years. And I say this as someone who, by the way, and not to make this about England again, Chase the Sun after England goals is the best thing that the US has ever done for our nation. Putting that on in the Dallas Stadium, make that the song after every England goal for the rest of time. Forget all the other nonsense. Forget It's Coming Home and Vindaloo and everything else. Chase the Sun, steal it from the darts. It's sensational. But yes, sir, I can boogie. And one person who boogied her way onto our screens last time we had her on, and is now a viral sensation, of course, because of it, is the wonderful Shebahn Aherne, who joins us now ahead of Morocco-Scotland. Shebahn Aherne, how are you doing?
Oh, good morning to you, Will. Good morning to you, Master, here in the sunshine. I'm going to counter the song thing ever so slightly. I love Yes Sir I Can Boogie, but I think Nick Morgan's No Scotland No Party has swept America. It's swept Boston. It's swept everywhere at Germany as well. I think in terms of a song that an artist who was relatively unknown has come up with on their own for their team going to a major tournament, I'm going to give the flowers to Nick Morgan for that one.
And do you know what? On top of that, JJ Bull with the sensational unofficial Scotland song as well. He came into the office and played it. I was seen on a live stream in a full sombrero singing, dancing along to it like an idiot. Honestly, Scotland, absolutely top tier. You had on top of that as well, Sunshine on Leith, which I know is a club song, a Hib song, but it is unbelievable.
Hib song, yeah. Yeah, and you know what? Flower of Scotland for the anthem as well. I think we take the best anthem hands down. We were having this debate actually last night at the dinner table with Natalie Sawyer, Joe Shannon, Izzy from production, Mark McGee, Sam Stevens, who is our producer, but he's now our adopted Scot because he's following Scotland, and myself, and having that discussion about anthems and the importance of getting your team up for it. Natalie Sawyer, she loves God Save the King. I think she's maybe the only English fan who's gone, I really love our anthem. Listen, I'm just down here at the docks, guys, this morning, and you'll see behind me this beautiful octopus statue with cones decorated all over it. Now, the reason for the cones, if you don't know this, the Duke of Wellington statue in Glasgow City Centre always has a cone on its head. It's our Scottish tradition, it's our Scottish theme. We don't know why we do it. I remember when the Commonwealth Games happened in Glasgow, we painted it gold. When Andy Murray was doing bits, I think we were putting like Andy Murray themed cones on the head and all that kind of stuff. But I've just bumped into a lovely lady on her way to work this morning. Her name is Jules. Hello, Jules, you're on talkSPORT.
Oh, I do. I'll be happy to talk.
Yes, Jules, you actually had the statue put up. That was your job at the time, to get this whole statue commissioned. How do you feel that now the Scots have made it with cones on their heads?
I have to tell you, we went crazy. We were really upset when we first saw them. Like, what's happened? You know, and then the news came out about what you just said, the Duke of Wellington sculpture, and that it's kind of in a gesture of affection.
Yeah.
And then we're like, oh, bring it on. Keep bringing them. And now our Instagram, we're a volunteer group that did this. Our Instagram blew up. We went global because of these friggin' cones. Thank you, Scotland. We appreciate it.
Jules. Well, thank you, Jules. Thank you very much. I mean, I absolutely love that you love it. So no Scotland, no party, Jules.
Exactly. Oh my God.
That.
Everybody loves your countrymen here.
I know.
I mean, my sons, I have 3 sons, have been sending me all these texts about everything you guys are doing. Yeah. It's everywhere. You guys own this city.
We love you, Jules. Thank you, and let's hope we're back here if Scotland win the group. I thought we were going for a high five.
Morocco.
I think. Yes.
And we're getting perfect weather for you. Perfect. I promise.
Jules, thank you for coming on. Thank you. Have a good day at work. Sorry, guys. Jules was just passing, and she just stopped to tell us about her being the one who got the statue up here in the first place, but now it's covered in cones.
It's sensational.
This is amazing.
Yeah, really, really great. I don't even know how to react to that now. She said about like how the people have taken on, they'd love the people of Boston, the people of Boston love the Scots and everything else. Yeah, the Norwegians in town, they were doing the rowing as well. Like, feels like Boston is the I know. Yeah. Master's been in LA where the party's been going on. Master's been in New York where the party's going on. But Boston, who knew Boston was going to be the home of the World Cup party this year?
Yeah, I mean, that's it. I think. And it's not an overhype either. Well, I mean, yesterday at 8:30, hi guys, in Union Street in the town, there was a load of Scotland fans out meeting with the Morocco fans, but then at 8 o'clock last night, they were getting together with Norwegian fans to do a giant row in the street. So it feels like there's a real togetherness. Everyone's all on the same page. But I think Boston's really brought that sense of community. There's something about this place. I've been here before in my time. I came here on St Patrick's Day. I was in my bed blutered at 2 p.m, but that's a story for another time. But, you know, being back here and getting to know the people and enjoying how much the people enjoy Scots people and how much the Scots are embracing the Bostonians as well. It is just a wonderful, feel-good place to be. And I think, Will, if I'm right, Master, you might know more. If Scotland finish third and Germany win their group, there's a good chance we could be playing Germany here in Boston. And you go back to what happened in Munich, you know, the times that we had with Germany as well, the German fans. So maybe Boston is our home. I mean, it's now been twinned. Glasgow and Boston have now just been twinned by the mayor of Boston.
And they've made haggis legal as well. I saw that.
Do you know what, Will? This is a great story. So haggis was made legal, and then it turns out they were just winding us up. So they were winding the Scots up like, yeah, you've had a park, you've made it legal. And then we went straight in with a news headline, haggis is legal in Boston, it's illegal everywhere else. And then they had to come out and go, sorry, we were just joking. We were like, oh, that's just not funny.
Shebahn, but I've been in New York and I was at Payne Station and I saw all the Scottish fans that were there. I was even in Philly and I've seen Scottish fans there as well. As you talked about the camaraderie that's building, it feels like this Boston-Scotland relationship is just going to continue for God knows how long. That's like the beauty of this World Cup right now is somehow we've built geopolitical relationships from one American city to an entire nation.
Yeah, I mean, I've just spoken to a guy called Jason who owns a bar here in Boston. He's a Scotsman. He's been living here for 22 years, and he said in all of his time here, he's never known at any point the city to be as happy as the city has been, to be as happy to have something happening here that everybody's loving so much. And it's not because just of the football, because as we know, it's not as if soccer's the #1 sport out here, but everybody is on board, and they're on board because of Scotland fans, which is just lovely. It's really, really lovely to hear, and I keep saying it all the time. It's everywhere. It's everywhere you go. We've just had a couple of guys in kilts walk past us there and shouting hello to talkSPORT. Anywhere you are in this place, there's Scotland fans, and they seem to be doing themselves justice. They seem to be having people just get right on their side, and they love them.
Scotland has a new...
I'm trying to tell Will.
Yeah, go on.
I'm trying to tell Will real quick. Shebahn, I'm trying to tell Will. English fans should take a page out of Scottish fans. Scottish fans, because they have been absolutely amazing to talk to. Every time I go up to them, they're so hospitable. You know, in other cities, you know, they may be trashing the experience, you know, and having to have bars shut down. I don't hear anything about that from Scottish fans. All I hear is really that you guys are drinking our town dry. That's really it.
Yeah, I think that is it. And do you know what? Well, you'll know this but better yourself, you know, as an England man yourself, but it does always seem that the narrative can be around English people, that they can cause disruption where they go, but it's a small group of people that get the loudest noise. You know, everybody seems to focus on then that one group that have caused a problem instead of the whole English fan base. You know, it's not as a whole, don't get me wrong, you know, not every Scot is, you know, got a halo around their head. You know, we can all make mistakes, or everyone can some people can get in a wee bit of trouble, but from what it seems that the atmosphere has been wonderful, and England are arriving here, aren't they, in a couple of days' time, and what it seems like is that the people of Boston are actually really excited to have a new fan base come in. So how England will take to the Bostonians will be interesting. What I will say as well, Master, is I think that Scots and Americans are actually more similar than we realised, kind of thing. I think we've got that over eagerness to be nice to people and be friendly, and actually living in London myself, it's not the same kind of atmosphere. So I think we're actually just a bit of a home away from home when it comes to the Scots being in Boston.
And actually, you said about the England turning up, and they play Ghana there in a few days' time on Tuesday. England fans are already arriving in the city, and what we've seen is England fans turning up at the Dubliner, turning up at those pubs and partying with the Scotland fans and having fun with them. And there's obviously an age-old rivalry there. And, you know, when Scotland came down and played at Wembley and took over the centre of London and Piccadilly Circus, and I think 99.9% of England fans enjoy it, revel in it, have fun with it. And, you know, unfortunately, occasionally, some fan bases have that small minority, but for the most part, England fans have been great. There is, I have to say, Shebahn is our viral sensation. She's been so superb out there. Scotland does have a new viral sensation, Shebahn. So, let's just see Scotland's brand new superstar. That's right, following on the tails of Mexico, Scotland got their own duck, and he marched in front of the bagpipes, and it was a wonderful, honestly, one of my favourite bits from the World Cup so far. Brilliant.
It was so cute. I mean, how did we manage to do that? And why is the duck all on board with the whole thing? It's quackers. I absolutely love it. I think it's so cute. Actually, yesterday in town as well, there was a guide dog that had on a Morocco shirt. And I was like, oh, you're so cute. And I had to have a little chat with that dog as well. And the dog told me that he thought Scotland was going to win. So how do you feel about that,
do the vibes come to the pitch tonight? Do Scotland qualify out of a group for the first time in their history and upset this great Morocco team?
I wish I could be a realist. Well, I wish I could be a pessimist, but I'm not. I'm in with the Scotland fans. It's no Scotland, no party. The vibes are good. We've just come off the back of our first World Cup win since 1990. We're going to smash the Moroccans, maybe, and we're going to take a point anyway. We're going to give them a tough old night, and you will see us in the round of 32. History will be made. Clip it.
You've done it a little bit there. We have been asking people on the show, Shebahn, to do a little rallying cry for their nation. Master did it for the USA.
Okay.
And when he did it for the USA...
Oh my gosh.
they got their first World Cup win, that huge victory. He did it for Arsenal ahead of the Premier League, and they won the Premier League, right? People have a good record of this. We'll ignore Max Scott and them losing the Europa League semi-final. That did happen. So, Shebahn, before we let you go, just give us a little G up. Get those Scotland fans ready. Get those Scotland players ready.
Let's do it.
Let's go.
People of Scotland, when was the last time this happened? You probably have children who weren't even here, who weren't even on the planet, who weren't even a thought in your mind. It's been that long since we have been at a World Cup. And guess what? We're here. Guess what? We've had a win. And guess what? We're not finished. We're not here to take part. We're here to take over!
It's a glorious thing. Shebahn Aherne. I love that you got a little cheer at the end as well. The wonderful Shebahn Aherne joining us on the S Word. She's always a superstar. I'd have Shebahn on every single day, honestly. She's so wonderful. We were going to do our power rankings here. We'll save that for the next time. And, Master, we will get to that, and we'll get to Canada and everything up next. But I don't know. Just even a point tonight for Scotland would be sensational. Like, that it's a good Morocco team, but maybe I'm just buying into the vibes too much. I like the idea of them taking something from this game.
That'll be a tough ask, man. I don't know. Morocco needs 3 points as well to try and finish top 2 in this group. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be a tough team to break down. If Scotland's able to find another goal, I think that's probably going to be the hardest thing for them to do, is break down this Moroccan side and find the back of the net. But if they could probably make it an ugly game and get a scoreless draw. I think that probably would be the aim here, to make this as ugly as they possibly can. And who knows, maybe find some luck at a fortuitous bounce and find the back of the net as they did against Haiti and take 3 points out of this. But I think, unfortunately, I think Morocco finds a way to get 3 points here.
Yeah, I'm probably going to predict the same in Master Damas later, I'm not going to lie. But right now, because Shebann's just been on, I'm feeling the vibes. Coming up, Brad Friedel will join us just after 9 a.m. Eastern. Brad Friedel will be here as we look forward to the USMNT. I know that the man sat next to me on screen, 5,000 miles away from me in Seattle, is G'd up and ready for this one. But up next, we'll talk about last night's action as Canada got their first World Cup win and did it in style and have a real chance of getting out of that group for the first time in their history.
From the touchline to the terraces, talkSPORT presents the S Word. talkSPORT presents the S Word. Listen again and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and on the talkSPORT USA YouTube channel.
You're back with the S Word from talkSPORT. I'm Will Gavin. Master Tesfatsion is live from Seattle, because around here we say the F word. Football, not the S Word. But we are bringing this show for our North American soccer fans. We love you greatly. Shebahn Aherne, absolutely sensational, talking
Tremendous.
Scotland. I don't know why I've gone full Trump with my hand movements in the last 30 seconds, but it has just suddenly happened.
Am I rubbing off on you?
Just after.
Am I rubbing off on you? Talking with your hands?
There's lovely expressive. Yeah, I'm not going to throw up. That's the closest you're going to get from me. Coming up just after 9 a.m. Eastern, Brad Friedel will be joining us. Don't forget that we are now a video podcast on Apple Podcasts. You can find us on Spotify as a podcast. You can watch the show obviously live as you are on YouTube right now. Plus we're on Tubi, Fox Sports Soccer, Fox Soccer, on all their socials. We're everywhere. So please get involved. Get involved in the show. SiriusXM as well. Let's not forget everyone. We're going to do our power rankings momentarily, but first let's talk about the action from last night. You're watching the S Word, sponsored by Kalshi. Canada getting their first ever World Cup win after a 6-0 drubbing of Qatar.
The byline does brilliantly, stands the ball up, Jim and Goalwards can save again, Poto from close range, and Kyle Larry is on target again for Canada. Buchanan with a shot from the edge of the penalty area, followed in, the deflection fell beautifully for Jonathan David. The ball up in the air, Eddie Goalwards, terrific save, poked home by Jonathan David from close range. He has got tears in his eyes, all for Ishmael Akone as they all go in together. To the D, on his right foot, off the post and in! Instant impact, deflection, Goalwards and in! It's an own goal, just to compound their misery. Put it, Sleeper, comes all the way through, Jonathan David and his hat-trick!
Hat-trick for Jonathan Davis, but unfortunately marred by the injury to Ishmael Kone and the broken leg. Andi Petrillo will be joining us shortly. I think we're just having a couple of technical issues. Tell me, guys, do power rankings? Is that where you actually want to go? There we go. Live on air production meeting. What a treat for you all. So we will get to Canada. We will talk about that momentarily. But first, let's do my match day 1 power rankings. I've gone through and picked the top 10 performances, the top 10 teams from the first round. American listeners will be familiar with the format of power rankings, but I want to be very clear on this. This is based on the performances only, with context, because some teams you have to consider who they've beaten versus not. But this is not about reputation. It's not about the squad. It's about what we saw on the field from these teams. Master, would you like me to? What I'll do, we'll discuss the top 5. I'll count down from 10 to 5 first. Happy with that?
Sounds good.
Okay, beautiful. In at 10, sneaking in at 10, Australia with that 2-0 win to open up the group stages. We saw them again in action last night, but just based on match day 1, Colombia make it in at the number 9. For me, Sweden 4-1 winners to open the tournament. They're in at 8. Morocco, I have at 7 after a brilliant point against Brazil. Probably should have won that game. And we have Norway in at 6 after the Erling Haaland inspired 4-1 victory. Master, into the top 5. In at 5. They wouldn't have been close to 5 before the tournament. I want you to consider that when I say this. It is the USMNT.
Give it to me. Come on. Top 5? Just 5? Just 5 after that performance? The way you're kind of you've I feel like you've over-indexed a couple of these nations leading up to it. I see Norway's probably a bit high for who they played against Iraq, Sweden as well playing Tunisia. There's probably some other African teams that got some good draws that probably deserve to be up in that top 10, but 5 only for the U.S. Considering how you over-index for all these other performances, with the U.S. facing a much better opponent than some of these other nations. A little questionable on this power ranking so far.
But huge respect to the USMNT, because I think if you'd asked 2 weeks ago, coming out of the first game, we think you're the 5th best team in this tournament so far. I think most USA fans would have taken that in a heartbeat. Thank you very much.
How many more impressive performances have you seen than what the United States did against Paraguay?
We're going to go into it, aren't we? We're going to go into it. Now, the next one, I think you're going to be angry that I have got this above USA. In fact, I know you're going to be. But yes, as a person who talks about the expanded format of the tournament and about the strength of these teams, just from what I saw from on the field, it was more of a full 90 minutes. There was a mercurial central performance. In at my 4 spot, we've got Argentina.
Okay, Argentina beating Algeria, the defending World Cup winners. Okay, I don't think I'm mad at that. I can understand why. Messi hat-trick for sure had you in your feels. I understand it.
I'm going to say between 3 and 5. This was difficult. I was undecided here. In at 3, I have the Germans. Now, yes, they beat a minnow in this expanded tournament, but they did put 7 past them. They did look sensational after that first quarter hydration break. Like, from that point onwards, it's one of the best all-round team performances, even if you have to consider the nation they played against. So I had them in my 3 spot. He's not happy. He's not happy with it at all. Look at him. Either that or he's frozen. I'm not 100% sure. It's one of the two. Oh, we didn't even get into my top 2. We lost Master. We got Andy now. We're gonna have to do the. We're gonna have to top. We'll have the top 2 once we've got back to Master. Once he's back up and running, I think he might be here. Okay, Master. Sorry,
right.
We missed your reaction to Germany at 3. How did you feel about
that? I think you're over-indexing here as well.
Okay,
I do.
Okay,
so. Curacao, I think, is the worst team in this tournament, and I wouldn't be surprised if they continue to concede multiple goals throughout the course of this tournament. So and we'll see. The jury's still out on Germany. I still think they can do some damage in this tournament. They're viewed as a dark horse, but I don't know if Curacao is the best example for them being a top 3. I don't think they had a better performance than the U.S. facing Paraguay. I don't think that was the case, personally.
Top 2. I think you know who the top 2 are. I think it's pretty obvious based on everything else we've seen so far. You were there for the first group stage game for one of them, and it was a brilliant second half performance, highlighted by 3 fantastic goals. Should have had a penalty as well, probably could have been 4. My number 2 are France. Because my number 1, after their second half performance against Croatia.
Oh my God.
The highest
Are you
ranked
serious?
team in this entire tournament, the best half of football we've seen from any team so far in this tournament, hands down, is the Thomas Tuchel-inspired England. So, of course, after the first round of games, England are number 1 in my power rankings, and it's with a bullet.
Come up with the worst power rankings than Alexi Lawless, and that is a very low bar to do. Because I'll see that's where I'm putting your power rankings on. It's on the same level as Alexi Lawless. That is the way your power rankings is viewed in my book. I wish my internet would have stopped working after 5, considering where the rest of the power rankings went.
It's coming home, baby. It's coming home. Number 1 with a bullet. France's second half was excellent, but created far fewer chances than England. It wasn't a great goalkeeping performance that kept them out. England should have scored 6 or 7 in that second half. Those goals are going to come. They played better than anyone else in the tournament for that second half. USA arguably could have been top 2 or 3 if I was taking just their first half performance, but their second half performance did drag it down for me a little bit. That's why they dropped to 5. England, my number 1. You can hate on it as much as you want.
I have seen Croatia struggle in friendlies scoring goals, and they were able to put 2 past England in the first half with relative ease.
2 great goals. 2 great goals.
What about the Jordan Pickford one that the air conditioning had an impact on it allegedly?
We will get into it with Brad.
Okay.
But they're the highest ranked nation facing a seeded nation in this tournament at the moment. 14th. So there you go. Let's get into Canada, though.
You love these FIFA World Rankings. You love these FIFA World Rankings.
I actually hate the FIFA World Rankings. I think they're utter nonsense, but there we go. Let's actually now get to talk some Canada. We have got Andi Petrillo back, the great Canadian sportscaster, analyst for One Soccer as well. Andy, thank you so much for joining the show. We really appreciate your time.
Thanks. This was highly entertaining watching you kind of get all squiggly over his rankings. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, flapping. Absolutely flapping. Am I right?
You know what?
Y'all using adjectives and words that we don't use in America.
But we do. I do work with a couple guys from Britain, and after that first game, it was immediate. It's coming home, and it was like just when I wanted to enjoy England's performance, just when I wanted to enjoy what Thomas Tuchel was doing, I get it's coming home, and I went, that's it. I'm done. I'm out.
Master's telling me all the time, be more obnoxious, find more joy in it, actually get behind your team. And then I do it, and he gets annoyed at me. I don't know why. Andy, I can't be better for it. Let's talk about Canada. 4 points from the first 2 games. Huge win last night. Marred somewhat, of course, by the Ismail Kone injury. But before we get to that, just talk to us about getting that huge win at home in front of the fans and what that moment means for Canadian soccer.
It meant everything. And, that's what Jesse Marsch was being asked before it, if this is the biggest match in the program's history. And of course, he's going to temper expectations because it's his job as the manager to keep his team level-headed. But it was huge, especially given Qatar getting that point against Switzerland. It was like, if you're a glass half full person, you're thinking Canada's best chance at finishing first in the group. But if you're a glass half empty person, you're thinking Qatar got a point. Now there's a real chance Canada could finish 4th in the group. Like, that's how quickly the pendulum swung with the result of that first match between Qatar and Switzerland. And the Canadians had struggled to score. I'll give them credit. The way they can do things defensively, the way they get back, the way Crépeau and even Dane St. Clair up until that point had been playing for them. This was a team that was a bit better defensively, even though they could let out some breakaways there for sure with Jesse's high press, but they couldn't really score. And Jonathan David had gone cold for a bit. So we thought, oh, great. Not only do they need a win, but again, given the game prior, where Switzerland now had a +3 goal differential, we thought they have to score at least 4. And they did it. And they did it at home, and it was incredible. So from the historic point of view of getting their first ever World Cup win, to other histories, like that's the greatest margin of victory as well, for CONCACAF. That's for a CONCACAF team at World Cup. That's also the first ever hat trick for Canada at a World Cup by Jonathan David. There were so many things where it was so emphatic. It wasn't just a win. It was a win with a statement, with an exclamation mark. But you're right. I mean, everyone, as happy as we were, you just still can't help but feel like the party, somebody fell down at the party, right? Somebody went tumbling down the stairs. So as great as the party was, somebody still got hurt. And you can't help but think of Ismail Kone. And, it's obviously a bit of a bittersweet moment, too.
Yeah, it was, and let's focus in on that moment, I guess, with Kone and how the players responded, how the fans responded, and kind of what's the sentiment now amongst Canadians with Kone, giving the thumbs up, obviously, as he walked off, the great ovation he got as well as he was stretchered off the pitch. Just a devastating situation to see.
It really is. And we know that injuries happen in sport. Like we've been doing this a long time. So you're like, this is part of the game. Unfortunately, there's always that risk. But when you also put it in context, like so Kone himself, where this is an emerging star in Europe, in the game, he's young, he's salt of the earth people, he really, really is. And that happens, you're like, come on, like why does it have to happen to him when his career, like he's in the best shape of his life, his career is on this incredible trajectory. And then this injury will keep him out for the better part of a year, you know, give or take, right? Even if he comes back and then trying to get back into game fitness, we all know how the story goes. But it's also in the bigger context of, are you kidding me with the injuries to this team? Because, I mean, juxtapose this, like no sooner does Bombito get subbed in and everyone's ecstatic because we're like, here we go. We never thought we would see Bombito at all in this tournament. He comes on it after a broken leg. Literally a few minutes later, that ends up happening to Kone. Tejan Buchanan had a broken leg. We know about Promise David's injury, Ali Ahmed, Jacob Schaffelberg, Richie Lorraine. I mean, Alfonso Davies hasn't played yet, even though they say he's available. I mean, go down the list of how this team has been cursed. Like, I'm going to start gathering all my Italian aunts and my nonnies, and we're going to start doing the evil eye, because this is absolutely ridiculous what is happening with this team. So you kind of have this, I feel bad for him. Oh no, what is this going to mean in the midfield now going the team? But then you kind of have this collective, like, this can't be serious right now, what's happening with this team and all these injuries, because the last thing you want, any team, is what could have been. Like, what could have been if we were fully fit? What could have been if we were fully healthy? And I feel like Canada's entering that realm right now.
Listen, as an England fan, I've spent my entire life saying what could have been. So I trust me, I know the feeling. It is horrendous. But when you actually consider, you know, not technically out of the group yet, but it's all but guaranteed. Switzerland coming up. How do you want Canada to approach that game? How do you want them to approach getting through to the next stage? You know, if Canada could win the group, what a moment that could be for the nation.
Well, and the implications are huge. So it's not just this great historic moment, because you're right. I mean, they're going to make history. They're going to make it out of the group. But Jesse Marsh has always said the goal was to finish first. And now that's a reality. But it's also important that they do it because of this World Cup being as big as it is and all the travel that is available to these teams to do. You don't want to do it. So you win the group, you stay in Vancouver. And if there's any way that you could even, you know, win that knockout game, you stay in Vancouver. So what's really important to athletes is routine. We know this, right? They love to wake up at the same time on an off day versus a game day. They have their routine. They want to go to the same place to get their coffee or their smoothie or go for a walk down the same street. Like, there is a routine to an athlete. And if they can stay in Vancouver, they can keep that routine. So that's number one. Number two, you just don't like to travel. Why would you just want to upend and kind of move? It's just an unnecessary bother to, you know, what you're already trying to stay focused and you're trying to just kind of stay in the moment. And now you got to pack a bag and you got to travel, and nobody just wants to do that. And you'd love to be able to stay on home soil. So yeah, I mean, the sentiment now is the Canadians need to go out and win. It's not enough to say, okay, we're moving on, so great. And I know that that's not Jesse Marsh's mentality either. I know that's not his message to them. His message is going to be, we're in a real opportunity here to win, which means we can create some stability here for the next week. Let's go out and do that. So that's what's on the plate for them. And then obviously get a draw too. I mean, goal differential, Canada will finish first as well. So they're in a really good position here to simply say, well, if we draw this, we're good. But yeah, draw, win the group, stay in Vancouver, minimize your travel, keep things simple for yourself.
Yeah, well, one more question on that as well, because I know the confidence level with Jonathan David being subbed out in a match in which Canada was looking for a goal in their opener. To go from that to now being tied with Lionel Messi for the Golden Boot race, it's pretty remarkable how one match has like completely shifted the perspective and also probably the confidence for Jonathan David, who has been struggling.
Oh yeah, so when we did our show yesterday, we were sure to put the Golden Boot race up, and like we put David's name ahead of Messi. And sorry, when here, but
alphabetical, right? Right, Andy. It makes perfect sense.
It does. And then I know all the other guys on braces. We don't care. We still put Kyle Aherne like right underneath him. So we have the power to do that here in Canada. But it isn't like so. Jonathan David. There's a reason why they call him the Iceman, because he really doesn't get too hot. He doesn't get too cold. And yeah, he's been struggling a bit. And of course, this is me just like hypothesizing. I haven't had a chance to speak to him. But again, when you just kind of know all the other noise going around, I'm sure it was a little difficult for him these past few months. Even though he's made this great move to Juventus, it hasn't been great down the stretch there. And then heading into this World Cup, the rumors that he could be on the move from there. And you can only imagine what that does to a player. Even heading into Copa America, where Ishmael Kone didn't have the great tournament, all these rumors were swirling that he was going to make the move to Europe. And then afterwards he admitted, he goes, that was on my brain. And then you go out there and you start to play an individual game as opposed to a team game because you want to just continue showcasing yourself. So of course, like it can seep into the brain a little bit. So with Jonathan David, I'm sure there was a lot going on even before coming into the World Cup that I'm sure weighed on him a bit. But then also, we had been criticizing Jesse Marsh here a little bit and how he was deploying David. We really wanted to see David as an out-and-out number 9. We didn't want to see him as that number 10. We didn't really want to see him dropping back defensively. There were times where he was so deep in the field. I'm like, is that David playing center back? Like, I didn't know what was going on. Like, why was he so deep in the field? And I felt like that was a Jesse Marsh tactic, and we didn't really like it. So I was like, keep him up there. He's got to get better service. We also knew this. The service wasn't really there. Game 1, and it speaks for itself, right? Liam Miller didn't get the start in game 2. The service just wasn't there. You put Ali Ahmed in. It's a completely different complexion. But yeah, and then you add in a little motivation. Both he and Kyle Aherne were like, okay, we have some naysayers. Okay. And, you kind of light that flame a little bit. So, but there's been a lot going on. But at the end of the day, there's a reason why Jonathan David is the leading goal scorer for the Canadian men's national team. And he proved it yesterday.
And at the World Cup as well, Andy. Brilliant stuff from you, Andy. Really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us. Much. Definitely going to get Andy on again. She was fantastic. Joining us live from Canada after Canada's 6-0 win over Qatar last night. The great Andi Petrillo, Canadian sportscaster. Up next, another great, the former USMNT goalkeeper and talkSPORT regular. He's been so good so far over this tournament. We've got lots to get into him. Brad Friedel joins the show up next here on The S Word.
The S Word with Will Gavin and Master Tesfacion from talkSPORT. S Word, featuring Will Gavin and Master Tesfacion. And a squad of big-name contributors. The S Word from talkSPORT.
Welcome to Hour 2 of The S Word from talkSPORT. We're into the second half, third quarter of today's show still to come on the show. We've got Laurie Haresh joining us from ESPN Australia. We're going to get some smack talk between him and Master. Let's be honest about it. We've got Nathan Joyce, excellent Brazilian football expert, will be joining us ahead of their big game tonight. We're going to hear from Rio Ferdinand, who's been speaking with talkSPORT. All still to come on the show. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us at the talkSPORT S Word channel and on the main talkSPORT channel. And you can find us on Tubi. You can find us on Fox Soccer. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn Radio and Sirius XM FC. We are quite literally everywhere. A huge hour lined up, as I say, ahead of a massive day in the World Cup. All right, let's get to our next guest then. The brilliant Brad Friedel is going to be joining us to talk a little bit of USMNT and plenty more beside. Will Gavin, Master Tesfacion alongside him. Let's welcome Brad onto the show. Brad Friedel, wonderful stuff. How are we doing?
Come on, Brad.
Hey guys, what's happening?
There he is. Not in the high rise of the New York skyline like you get with White and Jordan, but surely.
It's not a bad setting, but now I'm at Foxborough, so the hotel just walking distance. I'm calling the Scotland-Morocco game tonight. But I will have my eyes on the US-Australia before, of course.
Out of interest, have you been out in Boston? Then we had Shebahn on earlier. Have you experienced some of that Bostonian Scottish welcome?
I have to tell you, the Norwegian supporters and the Scottish supporters in Boston have woken up an already incredible sports town. I don't think the Red Sox players and anyone who's ever gone to Fenway has actually experienced something like they did the other night at when the Scottish supporters were singing for 9 innings. I mean, that's not how a U.S. baseball game goes. It's been absolutely brilliant. I think the stories are true that they've dried up some of the bars and they've had to order more beer in. But they've been really well behaved. It's been an incredible experience as expected. I think we touched on that once the event started. I thought it would be brilliant, and it has been. I think and I know the stadiums. I've called the first 2 games here. They've been sold out. Really good atmospheres. The Haitian fans were brilliant. The Scottish fans, Norwegian, and the Iraq fans. So it's been a wonderful experience here at Foxborough so far.
Brad, I'm here in Seattle, just got in last night, and I'm excited for this one right now. U.S. taking on Australia, a chance to go get 6 points in the first 2 group stage matches and really take a firm grip on the chances of winning this group. But obviously everything surrounding Christian Pulisic's health and his availability, will he be fit or not? What do you think ultimately will be the decision that Mauricio Pochettino makes? And if he's not able to start, who do you think replaces him?
Well, the reports are that he didn't train yesterday. I mean, that's in the way the Mauricio works, that's a huge indicator on if someone's going to play or not. So I would assume that Christian Pulisic will be out. This is a completely different game than the Paraguay game. Paraguay tried to play out from the back, and then we pressed and we kept winning the ball, and they never changed how they played. Australia will have watched that, and they'll be a little bit more direct in their play. Australia also poses one other risk to us, and that's off set pieces. So I think a lot of people, because Giovanni Reyna was the substitute that came in, would probably think he would just be a straight up substitution for Pulisic. But I'm thinking possibly a little bit more physicality, and maybe a Haji Wright does, just to combat a little bit of the Australian physical presence. I could be wrong, and I've not spoken to anyone. That's just a guess, because I think Australia is going to try to slow the game down. I think they're going to be incredibly physical, and I think because of some comments from a couple of pundits in the U.S., stating that Australia is going to be an easy 3 points, I think they're going to have a little bit of extra zest to their physicality in this game. So I think this is going to be a really difficult game, and they did really well against a very good Turkish team. They made the Turkish team look very ordinary, and they're not. So I was incredibly pleased with the first half performance the U.S. had against Paraguay. I think it's the best I've seen this group play. It could be the best 45 minutes that I've seen a national side play in its history, and that's maybe going alongside our first half performance against Portugal in 2002. So there's a lot of positives, but that game's over now, and we can't talk about that. We have to talk about a very difficult task in front of us now.
You are the nation that invented the idea of bulletin board material, Brad. You mentioned there some of the comments from the US pundits. We've heard a lot of it from Australians. They're putting together little hate reels. They're all getting up at 4 a.m. in Sydney to go and watch this game in the bars and pubs. So, like you say, a little bit. I think that Seattle's going to have a phenomenal atmosphere tonight. I think the Aussies are going to turn up in force. But from your perspective, for the USA, if they could qualify, win tonight, get out of the group already, be able to rest a little in that third game, make some changes, how huge would that be for this team?
It'd be enormous. I think they're through already, to be honest with you, with the goal difference, as long as they don't do something disastrous in the next 2 games. But if they get a win and can finish first, that could give a favorable draw in the next round, which is really important. The first performance and the first result really turned away any of the naysayers in the country, and it's been really positive since. So another good result will really quiet down the negative voices and bring out all the positive voices, and that's never a bad thing. I agree with you. I think the Australian supporters will come out and be really good. They're a fantastic supported team, supported country. I think the U.S. fans will come out and express their voice, and I think it'll be a party atmosphere before, and hopefully for the U.S. it'll be a party atmosphere after in a beautiful city that Seattle is.
Wonderful city. I did an internship here in the summertime with Seattle Times. I love it here. And obviously that stadium gets incredibly loud. I'll be up at 8:44. I mean, I'm up right now, but I'll be leaving here at 8:45 to go march with the American Outlaws right down First Ave or First Street in Seattle, making that march that obviously a lot of Seahawks fans and Seattle fans do often. So it should make for an incredible atmosphere, an incredible experience. But you mentioned how the first performance, the match against Paraguay, was able to quiet the naysayers. And I'm not gonna lie, I was skeptical. I didn't really see too much from this team that had me feeling confident and optimistic. And I'm sure everyone's gonna expect now, as you mentioned, that every game's gonna look like this, but that's not the reality. This feels like this could be a cagey affair for 90 minutes and probably a bit more lower scoring than what we saw against Paraguay.
Yeah, the first goal is really important. If Australia scores on us, it'll be a really long, difficult, physical morning, or I guess early afternoon there. If we score first and Australia has to come out, then I can see a lot of goals going in. So I think the first goal is really important. If it gets to halftime 0-0, then we're gonna see like two sort of heavyweight sluggers just kind of slugging each other like methodically till the end in a physical contest. I think Australia is going to hope for a lot of free kicks and a lot of corner kicks, because if you look at the size, I would say disadvantage for the U.S., that's going to be something to look on, especially with Sutar in the center of defense for them.
One person who did stand out for Australia in the first game, and area of expertise for you, of course, Brad, was the goalkeeper, Patrick Beach. What did you make of his performance? One of the kind of standout surprise performances of the World Cup so far.
Yeah, really, really solid performance. What I would always look when a lot of people say that saves are world class or absolutely brilliant, you look at it and say, if the ball would have gone in, would you have blamed the goalkeeper? And I think of all of his saves that he made, I mean, he's really composed in the game. He made one really top level world class save, and that was the one in the first half with the fingertips that went off the post. That was a really good save. I would say a lot of the others were what you would expect a goalkeeper in form and playing in a World Cup to make, and he did make them, and he played really well. There's been a lot of goalkeepers this World Cup who have not made them and made mistakes so far. So he was definitely one of their good performers, and he's going to have to perform again for Australia tonight, because the United States will carve out some chances.
And on the flip side with Matt Freese, I know that was a question point that we've had in terms of the goalkeeping situation with the States. How are you feeling confident-wise with him? We didn't obviously get to see too many chances against Paraguay, but how are you feeling? How are you feeling with him between the sticks here against Australia?
Yeah, good. I mean, really good. I think there's not much in it at all between he and Matt Turner, and actually, I think as career goes on, you're going to see Chris Brady could end up being the best that's been between the sticks. I think he has an incredible career ahead of him. I thought it was a perfect World Cup game to start your venture with. There wasn't too much pressure on him. He wasn't at fault for the goal against. He was composed. He was good with his feet. And he didn't make any mistakes. So I think it was the perfect start for him, where there have been a lot of questions on who should start. And then when he was given the starting job, there's still other people out there that thought Turner should have started. So I think it was a very good, non-imposing, but a nice little first foot into the World Cup adventure for him. So I thought he did everything that was asked of him, and tonight's going to be a little bit different. I think he's going to be under some pressure, as I said, on some set pieces, and they will look to counter, and they can counter quickly. I expect the United States to have a bulk of possession, so his starting position is going to have to be very good, because I think Australia will try to play balls in behind the back four of the U.S., or a back five if that's what they choose to play. But I'm happy. I was happy with his performance, and I'm excited to see him play again.
A couple of questions just before we let you go, Brad, on some of the other goalkeeping performances in this tournament so far. You said about goalkeepers, you judged them about whether you'd have blamed them if it had gone in or not. Should Jordan Pickford have done better?
Well, I was on talkSPORT yesterday, and Jim White, of course, being Scottish, wanted to ask me a question. The way that I put that goal is this: could he have saved it? I'd ask myself the same question if I was in the if I was in that position, and I think he could have saved it. But then the question is, should he have saved it? Where I'm not so sure is the ball had a lot of pace on it, and unless you're in the goal, you don't know if you were unsighted for a moment, because it did come through a couple of defenders. If he was unsighted and then he saw it, when it went past, I think it may have been Stones, but I'm not entirely sure. Then it's a really difficult save, because you're dealing with it when it's much closer to you. So I think it was a savable shot, but I wouldn't put that down to just a goalkeeping error, because I think there are other elements that it could have gone into it.
And on the flip side of that, Cape Verde, in the performance they put up defensively, I mean, the goalkeeper, they're 40 years old. That has to be the best goalkeeping performance you think of so far this tournament, right?
In the collective team defensive performance, Spain's a good team. I know they've been struggling scoring goals recently, but if you look at the possession, look at the attempts, look at the crosses, look at the final third entries, everything. So yeah, that's been the overall defensive performance of the tournament so far. The overall best goalkeeping performance so far, especially when it was a David v Goliath moment.
The whole defense doesn't have 14.1 million Instagram followers, though, Brad. It must be nice to at least see a goalkeeper properly getting his flowers.
I'm afraid I'm of an age where what you just said was in Chinese to me. What does 14 million Instagram followers mean?
He's got more followers than the Chicago Bulls. He's got more followers.
I know, but what is? I don't even have social media, so what does it mean?
It means that he could make a lot of money just on social media for the rest of his life if he wanted to. That's what it means.
Okay, then that's wonderful for him, and I hope I did read a story that is it his mother they're trying to get out, or so I hope they can get her out. Okay, then I hope they get her out, and I hope she can see him play, and I hope he performs the same heroics. That would make me happier than the 14 million followers.
What about last night as well?
I think they are.
Sorry, go on.
All right.
No, I think they are bringing her out. Yeah, they are bringing her out. I wanted to ask though, real quick, prediction-wise for USA Australia. I know we didn't get to that. Do you think USA wins this one? What do you think the final score would be?
Yeah, I'm gonna stand with my earlier prediction. I thought, I think we're better man for man. If we provide the same intensity that we did against Paraguay, and then we match or better the intensity against Australia, I think we win. So I think it'll be hard, but I'll go with a 2-1 US win.
This is bad radio from me, but I did want to ask about one more goalkeeping thing, so I'm just going to do it anyway.
Okay, do it. Yeah, perfect. There's no such thing as bad radio.
That's a wonderful thing to say. You obviously haven't watched that much of me doing it. I set an alarm for 1:45 this morning. I got up to watch what I thought was going to be one of the best games of the group stages in Mexico, South Korea. It wasn't a classic, and sadly it was a goalkeeping error that decided the game. What did you make of that moment, that decision? How did you feel for that young man?
I mean, it's a goalkeeping mistake. It's not the end of the world. I know it'll be a sleepless night. It might be 2 sleepless nights. You're going to have to endure some really negative media. You might even have to endure getting dropped, but it's a sport. It's not the end of the world. I feel for him, to a point, but we all make mistakes. I've been there. And he's got to deal with it. The best goalkeepers in the world are the best goalkeepers because they don't let the big mistakes or any mistakes faze them. All the greats, it doesn't matter if you think Buffon was the best or Van der Sar was the best or Schmeichel was the best, Seaman, et cetera, et cetera. Every single one of the top goalkeepers have made mistakes, but they never let it affect them, and they didn't let the one mistake cost 2 and 3 and 4. They just rebounded from it. So the advice that I would give is to understand that you make a mistake, which he's going to, and get back to the training ground as soon as you can, and try not to let it affect you and make another mistake. But it's not fun to be in that situation.
Look, Brad, we really appreciate your time, your insight. Wonderful as always. Enjoy Scotland-Morocco tonight. Obviously, some of us on this side are going to be rooting for a certain result, even if it's a tough one. Enjoy the USMNT, as much of it you get to catch as well, and we look forward to seeing you on White and Jordan, getting you back on the show and following more your journey through the tournament. It's been brilliant to see so far.
Fantastic. Thanks, guys. Enjoy the games today.
Beautiful.
Thanks, Brad.
The wonderful Brad Friedel joining the show here on the S Word with Will Gavin, with Master Tesfazian. I pointed the right way. I'm really pleased with myself. I genuinely, you know that thing when you look in a mirror and you're trying to like trim your own beard or something, and actually you're not sure what's up and down and left and right. Anyway, I called it out and now I look like an idiot. Still to come on the show, we're going to talk Brazil. Nathan Joyce.
No cuss words here. Just 2 hours of full-on football dialogue. Every day, talkSPORT presents the S Word.
You're back with the S Word, Will Gavin, Master Tesfazian. I'm here in London, loving the World Cup, having a great time, 8 days in, but I'm not having the life that Master Tesfazian's having. He's been in LA, he's seen the USMNT, he's been to France, Senegal, in New York. He's taken planes, trains and automobiles back across the country to get to Seattle, ready for the USMNT against Australia again tonight, Master. I'm so excited for you. It's going to be sensational. And we're going to round off the show in a short while talking about that game. But this is the S Word, sponsored by Kalshi, and one of the big stories of the early stages of the World Cup was the performance of Brazil in the first game, and whether or not that is going to be a telltale sign of what they'll do in this tournament. It's a huge slate of games tonight across the talkSPORT network.
Conor Metcalf's driving forward. That Metcalf's trying to go all the way. Oh, what a goal! He does go all the way. And Australia double that advantage.
But comes in, and it's a 4. That might be the pick of the bunch. Giovanni Reina.
Gunn and Doak, couple of step overs. Low ball in Adams, what a save! Up to McGinn! Deflected in! It's Scotland's first goal at a World Cup for 28 years!
Van Diaz has passed his man, chips it in. Oh, it's a fabulous goal. And Ismail Sabani was at the edge of the box, lifted it over Allison, who came out. Vinicius Junior cuts back inside. Brilliant goal. Absolutely brilliant goal. A moment of absolute genius. And Vinicius Junior. Brazil 1, Morocco 1.
Yes, it was nervy. Yes, it was tense. Boy, it was edgy. 80-0. Scotland 1.
Will Scotland take on Morocco in that group later tonight, hoping to qualify out of the group stage of a major tournament for the first time in their history. But on the other side of it, what do we need to see from Brazil tonight? What do we need to see from them after that draw with Morocco, going up against a Haitian side who looked tough against Scotland, who gave them a real game, who maybe some would argue should have taken something from it? Do we Brazil to go and just absolutely put the hammer down to show the world what they are? Do we expect them to do that? I'm delighted to say Brazilian football expert Nathan Joyce joins the show now. Nathan, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome. Welcome onto the show.
Thank you very much for having me. Really appreciate it.
Beautiful stuff. Listen, what have the Brazil public been saying about this first game? What's been the overall reaction, and how much pressure is them on tonight to go out and show out?
I think there's two sides to this. I think people who have been watching Brazil over the last 2 years maybe expected them to struggle against Morocco, and then those who aren't close to Brazil probably expected the Brazil we know at World Cups to show up. But it's a really tricky situation. On one hand, you could say that Ancelotti has key players missing, Esteval, Rodrigo, Eder Militao, but then he's not picking players that people want. We haven't seen Endrick in that first match. We don't know if he's going to start again. It's really tricky, and they can't really win tonight. And I mean that they are expected to go out and beat Haiti 3-4, 5-0. That may not happen, and then there's just more pressure on them. So yeah, expectations are low for Brazilians at this World Cup, but from Europeans, I think they're surprised with how poor they were in the opening match.
Yeah, I think Haiti will give Brazil a fight on this one. I really do think that this will be a much tougher match than most people think. But I do want to touch on Rafinha, because I think that's the most interesting conversation coming out of match day one going into this match is how do they use him? How did you feel about his performance against Morocco? I mean, there's some people I think that are saying that maybe he gets benched. Like, what do you think his role is in match day two, and how can Brazil get more out of him?
I think Ancelotti needs to bench players like Rafinha, and I think this is almost the perfect game to do it. He went completely missing. It's up to him and Vinicius Junior to be the senior players within this squad. Vinicius Jr. did his bit with this moment of magic, but we can't keep relying on that with Brazil. Yes, this team is full of superstars. Rafinha is one of those, but he's not undroppable. And his key players on the bench, Luis Enrique looking for an opportunity, Bournemouth's Ryan. So they have players capable of replacing him. And I think Ancelotti needs to make a few bold decisions here, so just so that the normal starting 11 won't realise that they're going to be picked on merit, or on their name rather. So yeah, it's going to be a really interesting one. Rafinha didn't perform against Morocco, definitely not undroppable, and he has a point to prove.
And what do you do at 9? Because I know that Master's a huge Endrick guy, been saying since way before the tournament he should be starting. You mentioned him in your first answer, but if you're Ancelotti, are you starting Endrick, and what do you actually think he does? Thiago, does he play Cunha in the middle? What kind of direction feel like it's going?
If I was in charge of Brazil, I think Endrick would be one of the first names on the team sheet. I think just his willing attitude is massively important. So many of these Brazilians feel the pressure in a Brazilian shirt. Endrick is not one to shy away. I think a European audience finally saw what he's capable of in a Lyon shirt this season. He's the one scoring goals. Matheus Cunha scored 1 international goal since 2022. Is he the answer, even in a false 9? Probably not. Igor Thiago, he had that golden opportunity, which he missed against Morocco, but no one really created opportunities for him. So it's not a case of just playing Endrick. Those in behind need to give him opportunities. But for me, I think it's a no-brainer that Endrick has to come in. And I think maybe there's something more to it as to why he's not.
Yeah, so do you think he starts at the 9? I mean, I'm seeing some reports maybe people want him on the right side. Where do you fit in Endrick here into this to get his confidence, his desire to be bold and brave, which is very much lacking from this Brazilian side?
Yeah, Endrick has to start as the number 9. I know Carlo Ancelotti wants his players to not drop deep and wants his number 9, to sort of stay in and around the box. Endrick likes to link up, and I think we need to see a bit more fluidity from Brazil in the final third rather than rigidness. And the 4-2-4 formation, I'm really not a fan of it. I don't know if Carlo Ancelotti's just being stubborn at this point, because we saw on the transition Morocco caught them out time and time again. So I think it's a problem deeper than just who starts in number 9. I think he needs to readjust. I think a 4-3-3 formation is desperately needed, because Haiti ganged up on players against Scotland, and I'm not saying Haiti are going to exactly do what Morocco did, but there could be a threat there. And if Brazil even concede against Haiti, the pitchforks may be well and truly out. So Endrick starts number 9 for me. But there's other positions that we need to address first.
One of the things, one of the rods made for maybe his own back with Carlo Ancelotti is the fact that João Pedro isn't there as one of those options, and Neymar seen as the person that essentially took his place in the squad, and you can't help it, right? Neymar unhealthy for these games, and yet during the hydration break we see him out there having conversations with Vinny Jr., having conversations, and everyone's focusing on body language and reaction to him and everything else. How much of a distraction or how unhelpful maybe is the Neymar situation to focusing this team and this nation on actually success on the pitch?
I think Ancelotti was damned if he did or damned if he didn't take Neymar, but Neymar hasn't played since 2023. I don't know if there was pressure behind the scenes for Ancelotti to call out Neymar up and him to be part of this squad. I think it's a massive distraction. We know he's not going to be fit. There's reports that he was going to be fit for Haiti. He's not going to be there. There's good reports that he may get on the pitch against Scotland. It's not going to happen. There's reports that, they're saving him for the knockout stage. He hasn't been fit all year. He hasn't really performed to a level for Santos where you're like, he has to go regardless. And it's just all ending quite sad, really. João Pedro will be disappointed that he's not there, probably showing respect to Neymar, that he hasn't really come out and said too much. But Pedro hasn't performed for Brazil either. I think it's worth pointing out that I can't really name a Brazilian game over the last 2 years where they've really impressed me. So this has been an ongoing problem for the national team. And like I said, we're picking out 1 or 2 individuals here. The problem's bigger than that. And whether João Pedro was in the squad or if Neymar was half fit, I don't know if it would really change the outcome of Brazil at this World Cup.
So what is the problem then? Because I'm looking at this Brazilian roster, and it's without question the worst Brazilian World Cup roster I've seen in my lifetime. I'm looking at the midfield, I'm looking at the back line, and there's not much beyond, like you said, moments of magic from Vini that provides any sort of hope that Brazil can make a deep run. And whether people want to discuss Brazilians going to Europe and playing outside of Brazil and losing some of that, the essence of the Brazilian style of play, or if there's just a lack of development and talent, what is that major problem that you're talking about that has me not believing in Brazil?
That's a really tricky question, because if we look over the last 2 years, they've had 4 managers in the dugout if we include temporary ones. So the Brazilian FA looking to go with different styles, different formations, trying to find a winning formula. They wanted Ancelotti in a lot longer, or before he actually did come, and he didn't at first. He was hesitant before joining in. So I think they've just appointed a serial winner, yes, but just because you've got a world-class manager in the dugout, does it fit where Brazil are at the moment? And I think that the main talking point has to be that 4-2-4. It doesn't suit the players they have on the pitch. Too weak in the middle. Yes, Ancelotti's been very unlucky with the amount of injuries they've had, but they only brought 5 midfielders before Ederson was called up after Wesley's injury. So there is a real shortage of people who they've brought in, but he's gone for experience again. Fabinho, Casemiro, where there's players back home like Bruno Bidon who potentially deserves an opportunity if you are going to turn towards the youth or the players who will be there for 2030. So a bit of imbalance really in terms of the squad, but originally selecting just 5 midfielders because he wants to play that narrow 2-man in midfield is the massive problem for me. But yeah, look, just an inconsistency, because look at Argentina. They've had Lionel Scaloni in charge now for 8 years. They're settled, they're winners, they know what they're doing. Brazil haven't been settled for a very long time now, and that's showing when it comes to the World Cup.
Brilliant stuff from you. Thank you so much. Brazil in action tonight. Thank you so much to Nathan Joyce, Brazilian football expert, for joining us to look forward to their game with Haiti later tonight. Sensational from you. Master, coming up, Laurie Haresh from ESPN Australia is going to be joining the show to give us the Australian perspective on the game tonight. Just tell me, you're what, an hour or so out from going, or hour and a half out from going and marching with the Outlaws. How are you feeling about tonight? Nerves starting to creep in a little bit?
And not as much as they did against Paraguay. I feel a bit more confident in this one, though I do agree with what Brad said. I think this one, it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a defensive battle. It's going to be a low-scoring game, and we're going to have to grind it out. I'm ready to grind it out with the boys, and I'm getting there early. I'll be riled up, ready to go. The noon kickoff is going to be interesting. I think that will probably lead to a slow start as well on top of that. But I think I feel good right now. I feel much better today than where I did at the start of the Paraguay match.
I'm glad you said that end bit there, because I was starting to feel a little bit like, where's the master I know and love? Has this cross-country travel taken out of him? There's a little caveating going on. There's a little kind of, you're sounding English.
I haven't had my coffee yet. I haven't had my coffee. I haven't had my coffee yet. I've had 2 or 3 hours of sleep trying to figure out this Wi-Fi works in this hotel so we can do the show. Yeah, this once we get through the show, I will be in the proper mindset, and tomorrow morning you will see a fired up Masters Fatson celebrating another 3 points.
I can't wait to see you just
you might see in the next segment.
Yeah.
You might see in the next segment. Who knows? Yeah.
There you go. A little gargantuan grudge match on the horizon. That's what we're saying.
No, it's not a grudge match to us, okay? It's a grudge match to them. When you are big bro, you don't have grudge matches with little bro. It's always little bro that wants to prove themselves to big bro. That's what this is right now.
Save it for Laurie. Save it for Laurie, because he's going to need to hear all of this from you, all of this chat from you, because little bro, big bro, can I tell you, we had one message in today, which I forgot to read you earlier, and I'll go back to now, from Reese, that just says, why are all Americans now entirely convinced they're good at soccer? Is World Cup fever the next devastating pandemic?
Hey, and I don't need no shot for that one, baby. I'm an anti-vaxxer when it comes to World Cup fever, baby.
Laurie Haresh from ESPN Australia will join us coming up next here on the show. Plus, we'll do Master Damas for the coming games over the weekend. You are watching the S Word with me, Will Gavin, Master Tez Fatsion. And it's coming. USMNT. I can smell it. We're going to get some hot action up next here on the S Word.
The daily deep dive into the world of football. The S Word from talkSPORT. It's the show for people who love football in North America. And I mean the proper kind, where you only use your feet. The S Word from talkSPORT.
You're back with the S Word on talkSPORT, coming up towards the end of the show. We're sponsored by Calci. Don't forget that if you've missed any of today's show, you get the podcast on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. We're available in video format. If you're in the US, we're also on Tubi. We're on Fox Soccer, as well as the Fox Sports website. And yeah, just, all across social media, all these lovely places here at talkSPORT S Word on Instagram, on X, on YouTube as well. Get there and get involved in the chat. A few people have done just that. Billy saying, Scotland aren't going to do enough. A 1-0 win against Haiti wasn't enough. I can see a -5 or -6 goal difference once they played Morocco and Brazil, so will not qualify. Billy, those aren't the vibes we're looking for here. We had Shebahn on earlier. It was high. It was great. We were having a good time. It's more the vibes that I want from the next two guys that are going to be joining us, one of whom is my co-host, Master Tesfatian, who is out in Seattle. It might be early morning there. It might be, not even 7 a.m. yet. He may not have had his coffee, but I know he's ready for the USMNT. I know he believes they're going to win. Come on, Master, tell me.
Of course I believe we're going to win. I think we're going to... Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a battle. It's going to be a grind, but we're packed out here. Every single hotel's packed. Seattle, home of the 12s, and I believe the United States is going to pull up like the Seattle Seahawks with the 12s in the stadium and pull out 3 points, baby. Come on.
Well, a good buddy of mine from ESPN Australia who is going to be enjoying this game at 5 in the morning himself. And the last time I saw him just so happened to be after those Seattle Seahawks lifted the Lombardi out in San Francisco in a dive bar. But he's one of the best. ESPN's Laurie Haresh now joins the show to give us the Aussie perspective. Laurie, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us, brother. How are you doing?
I am utterly humbled to be here, to be joining you. I mean, to be joining a stream that had a Bolton legend, truly a legend, Kevin Davies, only recently in this very spot. I mean, as someone who adored those performances at the Reebok back in that Kevin Davies era, and has JJ Okocha art on the way to this study very soon to be sitting over my shoulder. What a joy to be here. And yes, you're in Seattle over there. It's great. The vibes are exceptionally high. I can imagine. I'd just like to remind you that those Seattle Seahawks are champions in huge part because of Michael Dixon, their Australian punter. So I'll just leave that there.
Yeah, we're just giving it all to an Aussie. That's it. Like, that's the reason. No, he's got to be at the game today, surely. If he's not there, if he's not doing some kind of ceremonial match ball or something, it would be devastating. Laurie, Master said this just a short while ago. I said, look, I said this is a grudge match at this point. We've seen these WWE-style posts being put out of all the different US voices, basically talking smack about Australia after the draw. That's an easy 3-point and everything else. And do you know what Master's response was? Do you know what he said to me? Yeah, big brother doesn't worry when little brother gets noisy.
I mean, it's adorable. It's very cute. And it just plays into what's fascinating is I think we've got two teams that are in their natural habitats. The US, we know, do really well with hype and expectation. We watch at the Olympics, we watch on the world stage in so many sports, and the US do really well when placed in that position. Australia's natural habitat, however, is being the underdog, is punching above our weight, is being counted out, is being talked down to. We are a nation that, whether qualifying has been pretty or not, this is 6 straight World Cups that we've made it to. And to hear words like, yes, the infamous one is a layup, but to hear whether it was, Lalas or Donovan, I saw, and I'll leave him to be unnamed, but a 1994 US men's team member who is now, I think, a podcaster or a pundit, say that, he remembers when the footballing culture in America was at the developmental stage that Australia is in now back in the 90s. To say those things to a country that prides itself on sporting achievement at across every single square inch of this planet, and despite having 25, 26, 27 million people, tries to be relevant and world-class in like 20 different world competitive sports. To hear those things, it's not necessarily coming from players. And you listen to Pochettino, he's incredibly gracious and complimentary of the coaching staff and of the Australian team and how they can play, what type of blocks, what type of press they can apply, the talent they have to hit them. But that noise surrounding it, especially for a tournament like the World Cup, where Australia, while we're not a football powerhouse, we pride ourselves on a long, established, diverse footballing culture that has lasted decades and decades and decades and decades. It's just fuel, and it leads to a phenomenal meeting. The buzz and the hype around this is like good old-fashioned Attitude Era wrestling in the late 90s.
Well, I was catching some of this, but my Wi-Fi cut out because I guess I must be allergic to nonsense. But I caught the part where you talked about you guys being bad on the Big 20 World Cup against Zimbabwe. Can you fill me in? What happened with Australia Zimbabwe? What happened in February? Did Australia lose that one? Is that what I'm expecting to see with Australia this time around too?
Sorry, you're right. The Wi-Fi was a little suspect there. I think you're asking about how 26 million people possibly finish fourth on an Olympic tally and have 18 tallied gold, and continue to achieve world records and world accomplishments across every single sport. And I think that's what you mentioned there. But look, this is what we want. This is what we want. This is the beautiful clash of cultures that we have. America are great front runners. There's no doubt about it. But as much as American pundits, fans, whatever, may have circled that Australian matchup, when we saw that we got you guys on home soil, when we saw that that was the pot, that became the game that we wanted to circle the most. The idea that we could come away with a result and dampen what were going to be very noisy hopes from the States, it's perfect. It's beautiful. It's what tournament football's about.
People wanted to put you bottom of the group, Laurie. You could beat the USMNT today, top the group, go out in that position. I mean, that's got to be the sweetest possible outcome, surely.
Absolutely it does. And we hear kind of the cliches when talked about the Australian, they're going to be physical and they're going to be well organised and, defensively they're going to sit behind the ball. But I don't necessarily feel like we're hearing enough conversation and appreciation for the class that we do actually have on the ball, whether it's ascending talent like a Nesria and Kunda who's on everybody's lips, or you think about someone like Mo Toure who's been scoring for fun at club level. You think about someone like Jordi Boss who left certain Turkish players looking just a little bit embarrassed in that first encounter, a week or so ago. There's talent on the board, and whilst I don't think we came into this World Cup with expectation that, here we go, we're going on a quarterfinal run, we're going on a semi-final run. This is a campaign of promise for the Australians. This is a young team. You saw that with the moves. Pulling a Matt Ryan to put a Beach in goals, putting a Jackson Irvine back on the bench and putting a Paul Ocon Jr. out there, a second-generation Socceroo. To see it, it's a young team, and the ceiling on this team is not being talked about. It's talked about at home, and that's something that fans are feeling. Is it expectation? Okay, maybe not, but is it promise, and is it potential? And are we starting to talk to ourselves about a team that's as talent, that has the type of talented ceiling that we haven't talked about since the golden generation 20 years ago?
This feels like their Super Bowl, Will, doesn't it? This feels like they're this is the one for them. I don't know if I feel the same way about it as you do. I'm genuinely respectful towards the Australian people. I've actually got a lot of friends from Australia.
Here we go.
None of them are talking about
Australia. I've got,
None of them are talking. None of them have the hope and optimism that is being displayed right now, because you guys have had some banter and heard some media people here in the States talk about how it's a layup that we're facing you guys. The truth is, I'm not too concerned. With this contest. I think we'll handle business here. You guys can get all riled up. You can win all the pregame festivities. You can put all the bulletin board material you want to. At the end of the day, come 7 a.m., it'll be another L on the board. You guys will get nothing from this match, and I still think you guys can make it out to the knockout stage, which is a great accomplishment for Australia. But come on, what are we doing here? You guys are a little brother. All right, show some respect to Big Bro. Show some respect to some Big Bro over here.
When it comes to football, when it comes to, I'll say it, when it comes to the S word, you guys aren't our big brother. Unfortunately, it's Will's mates over there that really do carry that title over Australia and the heritage that we have there. But look, it's cute that
they haven't won anything either.
That you could think
all right, I'm not taking
we would ever look up. You could think that we would ever look up to America in a lot of fantastic ways. From my basketball culture and the achievements that our players are making over them, we always measure it against the excellence that we see in the NBA. We take great pride in the growing amounts of NFL players that we have in your leagues over there, but we don't circle how many players we're shipping off to the MLS. We're far more focused on higher goals when it comes to where we'd love to see Australian soccer, Australian football.
Who even watches Australian domestic football? Who watches Australian domestic football? Like, is it? Who watches Australian domestic football? Yes,
we have passion. It goes but even beyond Australian domestic football, you're talking about the professional league, the following that grassroots participation of football in Australia is massive. It'll probably surprise you that it dwarfs what we get in terms of juniors playing, in terms of kids playing. It's far bigger than rugby league, far bigger than AFL, far bigger than rugby union. Grassroots football culture in Australia is well steeped. It's deeper. It's hung around just a little bit longer than what you've seen exploding since maybe the 90s and early 2000s in the States. We're a proud footballing nation, and whilst that hasn't led to huge success at the World Cup tournaments, when it comes to things like our Asian Cup achievements, these are massive moments in Australian sport. And we're looking to this young, promising generation that was not built up with all the hype that the American team came in with and all the noise that the host nation comes in with, and the idea that we can start making some noise and see that talent ascend ahead of schedule as well, and to be performing and to be challenging and to be making it out of the group stage and becoming an uncomfortable opponent for some very big name teams. And even maybe look at winning, or yes, ideally get out of the group and make a challenge to win a knockout game. The fact that we could be that far ahead of schedule where the expectation was 12 months ago, this is an incredibly exciting time for Australian football. And don't ever doubt how much an Australian sporting public will get around a team, because the thing that I've noticed as we've traveled around the world, and I've been lucky to go around and see sports in a bunch of different countries, when I say Australians are mad about sport, we are truly insane when it comes to sport and the position it holds in our culture.
Because y'all have nothing else to look forward to. They got Vegemite, they got kangaroos. I mean, what else is Australian culture really about? Let's be honest here.
I'm sorry, did Costco
no one goes to Australia. No one goes to Australia and it's like, hey, let me go tap into the culture.
Tim Tams on their first day. There's Tim Tam. You got queues out the door because Costco has debuted Tim Tams today, and they're not even made with the fine Australian water that we have running through the Murrumbidgee down in Australia. I'm not sure what it is over there, but the fact, please, just like Tim Tams could.
The only time Australia is irrelevant in America is when. Only time you're relevant in America is when it's New Year's Eve and you guys are the first country to pop off your celebrations and fireworks, and we're like, oh, it's New Year's Eve in Australia. It's 8 a.m. over here. We'll get to it later on. Congratulations to you guys. That's the only time Australia is ever relevant in America.
Here you are besmirching our friends in New Zealand who go ahead of us, and I mean, wow, how many different.
We love it. We love the Kiwis. I love the Kiwis. I love the Kiwis. A much better footballing nation. I got a lot of respect for them. Small but mighty nation. Much love to them. But yeah, we just see the Sydney Opera. We see the fireworks there. It looks nice. It looks beautiful. I'd love to go there. I might be in Melbourne for the NFL game. Maybe my perspective will change on Australia. But I think that'll be a quick in and out business trip. I don't really feel like I want to spend too much time in Australia.
Oh, I think you come down and spend a good bit of time that time of year down in Australia, and we'll show you enough to have you thinking about whether residency can be sorted out for you anytime soon.
Residency? That might be a bit much there.
He's trying to move.
Here's what I do though.
You can have him. Just take him.
I don't want to go to Melbourne. I want to be right here in the US of A, where again, you guys are trying to make it your home. I see you guys at Mariners games. You're trying to make yourself feel welcome. And you know what? We're Americans. We like to make sure everyone. Well, we try to at least. I don't know. Can't speak for the Americans.
Is someone upset that
we try our best to make everyone
emptied? Is someone upset that us and the Scots have emptied the beer kegs over there? Is that hitting a little close to home? I've heard what our mob
let's not even get started on the beer that you guys produce out there, because Foster's is absolutely garbage. I am not the biggest Foster's fan. Australian beer, I have tried it time and time again. It is not for me. It is not for me. Come on, Will. You're on my side on this.
I'm not here to.
Come on, Will. Come on, Will.
Both of your terrible beer cultures.
Will.
Come
on, Will.
I'm not getting out of here allowing, just so you know, that Foster's is not produced in Australia. It's a marketing ploy. It's not Australian beer. It's not sold in Australia. If you want a good Australian drop, come down and we'll show you around. But please, look, this has been an interesting education into your perspective, but I feel like some education might need to go back around the other way, because
what else? I mean,
saying Foster's is Australian, saying Foster's is Australian is the quickest way to get your street cred nixed in our part of the world.
What's great about it?
Outback Steakhouse, the Blooming Onion. You guys don't make blooming onions over there either? What's going on here?
No, buddy. No.
That's the one good thing that you guys had. It was the blooming onion. You guys don't make the blooming onion? That's crazy.
How has he not mentioned Crocodile Dundee yet? That's what I don't know.
I know.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Anyway, Laurie,
enjoy your 15 minutes of fame as Australians, though, because, again, you guys are taking over the Mariners, all that jazz. It's been great. But
we'll leave the Zoom running.
It ends in a couple hours.
It ends in a couple hours. On for the next 2 hours. The disrespect from both of you is disgusting. Foster's, by the way,
little brother,
brewed in Reading, and is absolutely disgusting. So I will back you on that one. No problem whatsoever. Laurie Aherne, thank you so much for joining us from ESPN Australia.
Hey, good luck, man.
Have a great time tonight. Enjoy it, Master. Enjoy the game tonight. We look forward to having you on the show tomorrow. Have fun with the Outlaws. Enjoy it. And I can't even deal with you anymore.
Come on, USA! Come on!
We'll be back tomorrow to react to that game, to react to Scotland, to react to Brazil, all on the show. So join us from 8 a.m. Eastern here on the S Word.
Around here, we only use the F word. talkSPORT presents the S Word.